Welcome to another Off the Cuff review. I'm Nick Wolf. Let's get started. It's finally here. Let's talk about Crisis. Crisis, Part 1. Let's jump right into it. I'm super excited, guys. We're finally here. I finally watched all of Arrow and The Flash. I'm finally ready to watch Crisis. Part 1. Just kicking it off from the get-go, jumping around to multiple Earths. I'm going to just dive right into it. I'm way too excited to sit and pander and talk about anything else. Holy crimson skies of death, we are in Crisis. So Crisis is going to start off for us here in Supergirl. She's going to be where Crisis really starts to happen and where the team starts coming together. And so it basically starts off with a couple of different Earths starting to see Crisis starting to unfold. We even get a little bit of, from the Monitor in the very beginning, basically explaining how the multiverse was created. Their version of parable to the Big Bang. They talk about how before there was nothing but darkness, and now after there was a gigantic explosion that reached out and created an infinite possibilities and universes, creating the multiverse essentially. And now that energy is back to take back the light that was spread out into these multitudes of universes. Whoa, there's some science fiction science there for you. Take that in your soup. Huh. That was stupid, wasn't it? All right then. Whoa. I just have to say it twice because whoa. So it starts off with Supergirl, and we actually get there was a few cameos in the beginning, jumping around to a couple of different Earths, picking apart preludes to Batman and Superman. But then we jump to Earth 38, where Supergirl is. And we see kind of the first cameo that I recognized. He was just awesome. He only has a couple of seconds, but I'm going to say it like this, because if you watch Big Bang Theory, you'll recognize Will Wheaton! Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Will Wheaton has an appearance in Supergirl. He's holding basically a giant doomsday sign saying that the world is coming to an end, and that nobody can save us, especially Supergirl. And then he gets attacked by like a dragon iguana type deal that like shoots fireballs, and Supergirl like jumps in and like deflects the fireball and takes down the iguana dragon hybrid / thingy. I don't really know. It was a dragon, then it turns into like a little iguana lizard, and she picks it up and flies away. So there you go. But that's how Supergirl kind of joins into Crisis here, and she goes back into headquarters and kind of is going like, what is going on? Things are getting crazy. Crisis has happened, has started to occur on her Earth or in her universe. And we get to meet all the characters from Supergirl. Alex is there. That's her like half sister who's a part of like this secret organization. She's basically like a super spy type deal. And then we also have Brainiac, which is really cool to see. I did not know that they got that far along in Supergirl to introduce Brainiac, and this is a Brainiac. Most kind of like there's this comic series where Supergirl gets thrown into the future and meets like almost like a bionic Brainiac who's good. And that kind of version, if anybody kind of remembers that, that's kind of the version that's being portrayed in Supergirl. This is a good Brainiac, someone who's helping Supergirl, who's friends with Supergirl, friends with the whole team, and he's trying to he's figuring out how long we have before Crisis will take out kind of everything from this universe. And I gotta say, Brainiac's super cool. He almost, like, after watching this whole episode, because he's basically in the whole thing, and he adds some great comic relief, and he's just kind of a fun character. He kind of makes me want to go watch Supergirl. Not that I didn't like Supergirl before. I just haven't kept up with it in a long time. But Brainiac, that's a fun character. There's just a few moments throughout, and I'll get to it in a little bit, because right before you get to some comedy, basically that anti-monitor or the antimatter wave that's sweeping through has done one bypass of Earth 38 and is now headed to the edge of the universe. It's going to basically bounce off, and once it comes back, it'll destroy everything in its path. So they have to figure out this plan of how to stop it or how to save everybody, because they're about a day away from this wave just taking out everything. In fact, we actually see that it's on its trajectory to hit a place called Argo, which is a city that's near a red sun, where Superman, Kara's mom, and Lois, and a bunch of other people are situated at, and they're kind of living their lives. Superman has a baby Jonathan. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to kind of see. They have like this little cute moment of Superman changing a diaper. We don't get to see that too often. And Lois is like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a story about this," and Superman's like, "Really? I don't know if that's I don't know if it's something to write home about." And Lois is like, "Come on, Superman changing a diaper, like." You seem like you're having some difficulties there. Like, you've taken on all these big bad heroes, and a diaper is what stops you. And he goes, it's for his defenses. Yeah, but I don't have my powers here. like having his powers would help him change the diaper. I mean, I'm sure it would help him do it faster, but I don't know. It'd probably still just be as challenging. But it's funny how he's kind of like, "Oh yeah, come on, Lois, but I don't have my powers here, so." It's not like, it's just, it was pretty funny. So they're having their little moment there, and they realize that Crisis, or that, the Red Sky, whatever this is coming to their planet, and Supergirl warns them basically just in time for us to see something we've seen a bunch of times, but in a different way. We all know how Superman left Krypton. It was about to be destroyed, and in its last few minutes, he was sent off in a pod, and his parents had to say goodbye to their child right there as he was sent off into space. They basically get to do the same thing here. So we get to see kind of the Superman almost relive his journey by now seeing it through his own kid's eyes, because now he has to be the one, because they only have enough time basically to send one person off the planet, and they only have one ship, and so of course they're going to put the kid in there. So they put baby Jonathan in the pod and send him off, and Superman and Lois have basically the same moment that Superman's parents did, and they get to say their final goodbye, and that's basically it. And then the whole planet's gone. Superman, Lois, Kara's mom, gone. Finito. Avante, adios, gone. They're just, Superman's gone. What? So there's that. And so Supergirl's now watched basically everybody she cares about, the rest of her family from Krypton, gone. She doesn't know that John was sent away, so she thinks everybody is just gone. And then we kind of cut to Lila, who is now the Harbinger, who's basically helping the Monitor, collect all the heroes and help them, prepare for Crisis. So she goes, while this is kind of all happening, she goes and starts collecting as many heroes as she can to prepare for Crisis. Or it's basically, it's time for Crisis, you're coming with me, and we're out. And there's not much to it. She goes and picks up Oliver and Mia, who are having that same little moment they were having in the last episode of Arrow. I'll leave that review up over there. But in the last episode of Arrow, when they're on Lian Yu, they're having this cute, like, kind of heart-to-heart moment. And again, we get this, you're going to have a lot more stories. And, it was nice that we got to spend this time together. And then Lila shows up, grabs them, and then whisks off. And then they go to grab Batwoman, who is chasing down the Wonderland gang, trying to find her sister, and so she grabs, but she's interrupted with that because Lila goes, "Hey, it's Crisis," and Batwoman's like, "I'll deal with your Crisis later. I'm doing actual stuff over here." And so Lila goes, "Nope, you're coming with me," and they went away. Then we get to see Sarah and Ray, part of the Legends. They're at a kind of a trivia night. Turns out that Ray didn't change something in the past, or change the past, and now the history has been altered during their little trivia game, and they lose. And then Lila shows up, and the whole crowd's like, well, time to get out of here. And everybody leaves, and then all of a sudden Sarah, or White Canary, turns around and goes, "Lila? What's with the suit?" And that's all they get to say, basically, because then they disappear. So those are kind of the heroes that Lila/Harbinger has collected. And now we kind of go back to Supergirl. They're reeling from what's happening. They're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? That wave is still coming to us. Brainiac's like, we've got, time is not for us, or not with us. We're about to be all destroyed. We have to come up with something. And then, hero moment. Harbinger shows up, and just like a team of superheroes right behind her in a line with some badass music, and all of them, we got Arrow, Arrow's daughter, Superman, he's alive, Lois, she's alive, and Batwoman and Batwoman show up. And then they basically have this whole showdown introduction, because a lot of people haven't met before. And at first they all think that the Harbinger, because she kind of shows up first, they all go, "Did you cause this? Did you destroy Argo? What's going on?" And then all the superheroes show up behind him in this awesome dun 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 dun, wow, we're here, which was a pretty cool moment to see. And then they kind of have a moment, and they're like, all right, let's figure out what's happening here. And that's when the Harbinger sits everybody down and goes, look, there's an anti-monitor wave coming to destroy everything. This is where we make our first defense. This is a tipping point in the scales. If the anti-monitor is able to get Earth 38, then that's this is a battle we have to win, is basically what she's saying. She sent Barry, Sarah, and the Atom, or Ray, or White Canary. I know they have their name, and then there's. I'm going to use superhero names. So they have the Flash, White Canary, and the Atom. They go off to inspect something that the Monitor wanted them to inspect. We don't really know what that's about. We find out a little bit later, but I think it's still a little unclear because it doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's happening. Now, the team's trying to prepare for whatever's about to happen. They don't know what they're going to face, because how do you face an antimatter wave? There's nothing you can fight there, and Some of these people just have batarangs and bows and arrows. So kind of a little bit confused on there. So they basically set up. Crisis is here. The rest of the planet is basically in the Martian shows up. Jean, he shows up and he's helping he's gonna help coordinate with Alex to basically save the planet. While all the heroes are trying to stop or prevent a crisis, they're going to do whatever they can to get everybody else out of there. And basically their plan is to load up everybody into ships and hightail it to Earth 1 as fast as they possibly can. And so they're lending anybody who's ever come onto the planet has a ship, and their idea is, let's get all of them, let's get everybody together, and they just start picking up people and getting out of there. So that's kind of what's happening in the background of Supergirl, is they're getting as many ships as they can, loading up as many people as they can, and getting out of there. So basically the wave comes, and then all these like ghoul, ghost-like creatures appear. And this is going to be the enemy that, of course, they're going to be able to actually physically, combat or connect with. And so that kind of happens, and right before that, an earthquake kind of shatters the planet, sending all the big heroes out. Because basically what happened was, and this is where I'm going to get into what the Flash, White Canary, and Atom were doing. They went to go look at these things called spires, which were these 4 like spires that the Monitor placed like at the beginning of time to help prevent or stop the wave. And it's like this quantum generator thing that like keeps the energy at bay. So basically those pop up. One of them just pops up in Earth 38, and so that's what they're going to have to protect. And if they can protect that, they can prevent the anti-Monitor wave. That's when all the ghouls and the ghosts come, rah rah rah, and all the big heroes, Supergirl, Superman, and the Flash, sped off to go solve the earthquake, because when that earthquake happened, it could be overrun, so they sent the big guns away, and that's when the ghosts came while they were weak to attack the tower. And when all hope is lost, they kind of come back, and they're all together fighting all the creatures or whatever. And it's we've got basically a good group of superheroes here. They're fighting, they're protecting the spire. I don't really get the whole reconnaissance thing, because if the Monitor placed them at the beginning of time and one was right there like already, like were they doing reconnaissance on the other 3 to make sure that they were still intact? Or like I didn't get that, and they didn't really explain it, so there's probably something more there on that reconnaissance mission, I'm assuming. So they're all together trying to fight off all the goose ghouls, antimatter spectrum ghosts. They're pretty easy to defeat. There's a bunch of them. There's like 10 armies worth is what they say, but you can hit as long as you get like a good hit in, they basically dissipate. So there's just a lot of them, and so they're fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and they're doing flips and backflips and archery and laser beams, and at one point it's funny, the Atom and Batwoman, kind of like earlier on in the episode, the Atom was like, "Oh, I could upgrade your suit," and the Batwoman's like, "Do you favor your hand? Because if you're gonna lose it if you come any closer to me." And Ray's like, or the Atom's like, "Yeah, I like my hand." Like, no, my bad. But then later on, Batwoman's like, "All right, never mind. I could use that upgrade." And Ray does some things to it and kind of helps them out, and they're all kind of helping each other and fighting. But then the tower basically gets destroyed. The wave comes crashing back in. All hope seems to be lost. Now they're definitely running out of time. Their best bet is to send Superman and Supergirl up to the tower to see if they can do anything and just buy as much time as possible to get all those ships to Earth 1 and do what they can. And so Superman and Supergirl fly up, use their heat vision to turn the tower back on, but they can't sustain it for very long. And then basically all hope is lost, and the Monitor comes in and goes, we're done. Nope, pack it up, let's leave. No, I know there's a bunch of people. All these people are dead. We've lost. We're out. And doesn't give anybody really the opportunity to stop him. Just starts teleporting people out of there. First it was, I believe it was Batwoman. Then it was Ray Palmer. Then it was Supergirl and Superman. And then Mia. They just start, taking everybody kind of away there. And then it's basically just Arrow left on the battlefield to face, the rest of the hundreds and thousands of ghoulish creatures that are about to, wipe out the planet, destroy the sphere, and take along everybody with them. So, there's that. Before I get to the end here, because I kind of wanted to go a little bit in row, the one thing that I kind of missed out on, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly, was when they got John's baby back, Superman and Lois's kid. They went and got the kid. The kid wound up going to a different Earth, and Sarah, Lois, and Brainiac went to go get Arrow. Or not Arrow, went to go get John, the baby. It just so happens that he's with Arrow. The baby landed in Star City on a different Earth. An Earth in the future, an Earth that White Canary has been to before. Okay, I'm talking about it too much. Basically, the only moment I wanted to talk about was one, Brainiac has some hilarious kind of moments. He gets hit with 2 arrows and wrapped up in a metal wire, and he's like, this is unnecessary, and then just kind of falls over. And then he's also because they have this weird, Sarah and the future, and this other Oliver Queen have this weird moment where Sarah kind of gets to say goodbye, but not to the actual Oliver Queen. She gets to kind of tell her story of how much going with him on that boat meant to her, and what kind of life she's led and how happy she is now for it. And it's kind of her chance to, I guess, say goodbye, but I don't really know why. I know I don't know if she knows that he's gonna die in Crisis. So, but they have this weird moment, and even Brainiac's like, I hate to mess up whatever awkward reunion this is, but we gotta go. What is this? So I don't know what that was all about. The reason why I'm talking about that is because now jumping right back into the tail end of the episode when it's just Oliver Queen. He's alone. Everybody else has been teleported out, and the Monitor's basically for whatever reason, he's now going to ask Oliver, hey, you want to go? Which doesn't make any sense because he's teleported everybody else. But he's basically hey, you ready? And Arrow's no, not everyone's saved yet. I can't leave. And then shoots an electric arrow to stop the Monitor. And basically he's decided to stay and fight for as long as possible to make sure everybody else gets through the portal. And so he starts, firing arrows and doing the best he can. But now he's alone. And so he's getting beat up and thrown all over the place. So he winds up with no arrows. He's all by himself. He's up against an unending army. And I'm just sitting there going, is this where he dies? Part 1 of Crisis. So that whole speech with him and John sticking with him to the end, like none of that. We're just gonna kill off Arrow right at part 1. Oh, okay. If that, all right. So I'm sitting there going, okay. So, and sure enough, like, he's sitting there, he's got no arrows left, no team, facing down an army, and of course he just does the only hero thing he knows how to do, and he's just like this, he like kind of, you can see it, he's like, this is it. He's been thrown around a bunch, he's all kind of tattered, and he just drops his bow, and it's like this, and it's like, you're just like, what is happening right now? He drops his bow and just like, battle war cry, and you're just like, no, no, and he just starts, but it's very, he's just like, ah, and he just starts running towards the enemy, and you're like, don't, no, and then it just cuts off, and you're like, what's happening here? And so you jump back, everybody's in the room, and then Oliver kind of gets breached in or teleported in, just lying on a table, and he's all just beaten up and broken, and he's just lying there like just totally defeated. And the Monitor is like, we lost. Earth 38 is gone. Out of the like 7.5 billion people on there, only 3 billion people survived. And I estimate that Oliver saved about 1 billion people from his sacrifice. And I'm just like, what? Like, awesome, great superhero ending. You save 1 billion people and you fight till your last dying breath. But what? Huh? So anyways, he gets to like say his final goodbye to his best friend, the Flash, who really didn't get any sort of goodbye. They did have one little moment where they got to talk about them both dying in Crisis. Where Arrow kind of just cuts him off halfway through the sentence and goes, you're not dying, I'm dying. I want to talk to you. And the Flash is like, what are you talking about? I want to talk to you right now. And then the Arrow disappears and goes and talks to the Monitor, and he basically is just like, dude, the whole unit, like the Monitor's just like, everything's going to die. Like, I gave you guys a chance. You know, this is the ending of endings. He might have to go too. And they was like, no, it was just supposed to be me. I was supposed to sacrifice myself for blah, 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 blah. But it's like, it doesn't matter because he's dead. Like, and even the Monitor's like, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? And so there's that. So he's like, you're the best of us, Barry. Don't ever lose that. Mia, I love you. Don't ever, lose me in your heart. And that's it. And then he basically dies. And I just go, oh, okay. And then you kind of start thinking about that. But then who shows up? Nash. Nash Wells shows up, but he's no longer Nash Wells, which is where he pretty interesting. His outfit or his costume, his whatever he's wearing now, whoever he's become, looks very familiar to something. I can't put my finger on it, and I don't want to research it quite yet because I kind of want to see how the story unfolds in the TV show. But he's wearing this green with like a gold chain, and he's basically just like, I released the Anti-Monitor. And now I've become a pariah, and to bear witness of what had to come. And you're just like, wait a minute, what? So, does that mean that when he opened that door, he released the Anti-Monitor? Or did he go somewhere and release the Anti-Monitor. And now he's a part of the Anti-Monitor, just like Lila is kind of part of the Monitor as the Harbinger. Like, I'm super interested in what is happening right now. And so basically the two of them are like, Oliver wasn't supposed to die. This isn't how events are turning out. Something is different. And Nash, who's basically like, I'm no longer Nash, is like, one thing's for certain. All life as we know it is ending and will end. And we are basically doomed. And and there's part one. Part one. Whoa! Alright, guys. What'd you guys think about the episode? What'd you guys think of what cameos did I miss? Who you guys excited to see coming up in the other parts? Who else noticed Will Wheaton and had the same thought, because we've all seen Big Bang, and I love his character there. Whoa, part one had some big explosive moments. Apparently Arrow is dead. I'm not too thrilled about that one. So we'll see. I think he's gonna, I don't know. I have no idea. I want him to come back, but it's like, how is he gonna come back? Like, and in what capacity? Are we gonna see a different version of him now? Like, are we just gonna go grab an Oliver from a different Earth? Are there any of those other Earths left? How many Earths are left? How much has been destroyed? So many unanswered questions. Comment down below on other questions you might have. What's up for part two? It looks like that picks up on Batwoman. So we might get more introduction into Batman, maybe. So we'll kind of see where that kind of episode leads us, and who else we get to meet along the way. Awesome. Part one is wrap. Let's get on to part two. I'm super excited. Thank you all so much for watching. Get excited for other more off-the-cuff reviews coming to you soon. I will be posting a lot, especially I've got 4 more episodes of Crisis to get through. I am super stoked. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.